Hi. Last time I filmed a video in my car, like this, I came on and talked about how I felt like I was too far gone. I didn't say that my life was over, but I thought that because of medical transition, that I had sentenced myself to living life as a pseudo-mediocre man, and that was just the fate that I had, talking about the long-term effects of testosterone. Now, an update since then. At the time, in early October, I was still on testosterone, and in late October, I decided to stop cold turkey. And so it's been a little over 7 months since then. And I've noticed some changes. I've noticed behavioral changes in terms of how I process things, how I process emotions, crying, all of that stuff. Just kind of stereotypical, but it's true. Testosterone does have an impact on my brain and how I process things. Physical changes as well, body fat redistribution, hormone levels, and all that stuff. But largely speaking, most of the changes are permanent, and that's fine. I've come to a point of acceptance with the current circumstances.
Quick pause. Permanent?
So let me give a little background context to this video. About 7 months ago, she posted this video saying that she wants to detransition, and she feels like she felt very lost because there's a lot of things happening to her body that she feels are irreversible. And so she was seeing through this time, she completely went off, grid, and seeing in this time if any of it could come back, any of her feminine attributes and stuff could come back. And so here we are 7 months later, and I guess she's finding out now that, yeah, some of it is permanent, unfortunately. And I know we're only a minute in, but this is already breaking my heart because, she seems very distraught.
Well, I'm sorry, but how did she say how long she was on testosterone? She said she was off for 7 months.
Yeah.
But, because I'd be curious about that.
I think in the first video she does say it, but yeah, I'm not sure.
My voice is this way. It's going to stay this way. My hairline, obviously I'm growing my hair out. I kept buzzing it until about January-ish, and then I was like, okay, we're going to try and grow it out and see what happens, and I'm trying some naturopathic stuff, but, my hairline is still receded. It's not coming back. Hopefully it's better, especially as it grows longer. But a lot of the changes are permanent, and also, I had a double mastectomy. I had a double mastectomy, and I'm obviously, my breasts are not going to grow back. That's just not going to happen. I had laser on my face, but, I still have permanent body hair growth. I still have permanent hair loss, permanent voice deepening, permanent changes everywhere. And I thought that it was a death sentence for me.
It breaks my heart because so much of the rhetoric that we hear is that this stuff is irreversible. If you want to detransition,
no, it is reversible. Yeah, they say it's reversible.
And then here she is, someone who actually is detransitioning, is sitting here saying her voice is permanently altered because of the testosterone she took.
But she removed her breasts.
Oh, yeah.
That's another one where it's like, here's my question. How long did you have to tell your doctor that you wanted to transition before they actually went ahead with chopping off your boobs?
Right.
Because I say this all the time. If you, let's say you're in a relationship and you feel like breaking up with somebody, give it a month so that you can, see how you really feel about that person and their actions through an entire female hormonal cycle. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so easy to, get caught up in certain emotions when you're in a certain cycle, stage. And I'm just like, well, what if this is, one of those phases where, you're just, making a decision that you have been thinking about, so it doesn't come off as rash, but it's actually a rash decision.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're on, testosterone before that, your hormones are going to be, confusing. It'll be hard to tell, I don't know.
Right. Well, and I think if you're an adult, it's one thing, of course, but there should still be, even when you are an adult, some more roadblocks.
Have to.
Maybe see a therapist or something. There needs to be more roadblocks. So when you do come after all that, you do come to the line and you do want to transition, then that's one thing. Then you know for sure. But I just feel like some of these people that transition, I'm like, maybe if you had just more, it wasn't so easy for you to just lop your breast off, maybe you would have stopped and thought about this, like maybe let me sit with this for a little longer, because I don't know how old she is, but she looks young. And so, I feel like this was all made when she was like a teenager. When she was young.
It definitely started, because she looks not a day over 20.
Right. So, I'm going to look into how old she is, but I'm not sure how old she is.
And I didn't want to be here after I figured out what I did to myself and what the medical establishment allowed me to do. And I struggled for months. I really did. So why am I logging on now? On a new account where I didn't want to bring too much attention to myself. People have found it helpful when I speak. I don't know why. I guess they just like what I have to say, or maybe my perspective. But I think the biggest thing that I want to say is that based on where I was at previously versus where I'm at now, when I filmed that video, I thought there was no hope for me. And now, several months later, I don't know what happened sometime in late April. I think a switch flipped for me. Because I cried for months. I was grieving for months. I was mad. I was angry. I didn't want to be here. I kept trying to hang on because I knew it wasn't an option to kill myself. I mean, it is an option, but it wasn't realistically an option. I have a purpose. Just don't know what it is yet, and I know I don't want to live, but I have to keep going. But something flipped in late April for me, and I don't know what it was. And now I do want to keep going, and I'm coping with the changes, and I'm coping with, being perceived ambiguously in society because I'm a conglomeration of secondary sex characteristics, some of which are natural and some of which are artificially induced. But I'm coping. Is it easy? No, it's not. But I'm able to move forward, and I am moving forward, and I've accepted that this is just the reality of things, but it also doesn't have to sentence me to a certain way of living forever. I can still do something great with my life, and I can still move on, and I don't have to let these changes dictate how I live my life forever. And I think...
Just a side note. So, the hero's journey, right? Like, classic literature, like blah, blah, blah. This is what that reminds me of, where she had to go through the pain of, like, losing her, everything that basically made her a woman, realizing it wasn't who she wanted to be, and it was a permanent mistake, and then coming out the other side in order to gain this insight. But here's my problem, and like you saw what as a woman, like the therapists that people are going to are not pulling this out of people.
Right.
A good therapist would have helped her go through her hero's journey and, coming of realization that you had a purpose and that, you're more than all of like, how people treat you and all of this stuff, before she had to go through irreparable damage.
Right. Well,
that's literally the freaking point of a therapist, and it's lazy work. It's lazy work.
It is.
To just be like, oh.
I wish they would push for it more too, because a lot of these kids that want to transition, if you look at the numbers, it's going up and up of kids identifying as transgender.
In clusters.
And the
social pressure.
Clinics and cluster. Yeah. I think children today, in general, are lacking a sense of identity. And so the identity they're given right now is this narrative. Mm-hmm. And I do wish we had therapists that would push more for something else. Because I think with a lot of these kids, what they want is some kind of sense of community or feeling in some kind of community. They're looking for something. And maybe she hasn't found what she's looking for yet, but I get the sense of, look, a lot of these kids are looking for something, and they find it in transgenderism because it's trendy right now. It's popular right now.
It's the new religion.
It's the new religion, and a therapist should be able to kind of help.
Should see through it. They should see through it. Okay. Like, there's no excuse for forcing someone, you know, basically this is the new therapist, go through this hero's journey of mutilating your body, regretting it, and then finding yourself after this.
Right.
I don't think it's the best type of therapy. It is a therapy, but I feel like we can do better.
She is inspiring. I will give her that. Like, just listening to her speak, like, you know,
I'm proud of her.
This is in today's political climate. This is very brave. This is very brave. If you ask me, coming up and saying you're detransitioning and that you regret it, that's bravery. I don't know.
It is 100%. Although I'm glad she said that, like, people are being supportive of her instead of, like, ripping into her or something, because I feel like that's, you know, when you post online.
Which is not something that I thought even a couple months ago I could say. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is mainly for people who think that they are trans, or that they regret things, or that they're too far gone and they just can't go back. You're never too far gone to return to who you are. And that might look different for anybody. But it's not bad to question things. It's not bad to look at why you decided to transition in the first place. And it's never too late to take a step back from things. And don't let anybody dictate that timeline for you. You've got to do it on your own time. But I guess the whole point of this is that I want to tell anybody that is in the throes of regret, in the throes of grief, is questioning where they're at with things, that it does get better. I don't think this shouldn't have happened. I don't want this to keep happening to other kids and vulnerable young adults such as myself. But my life is not over because of it, and I think we're a lot more resilient than we realize. So, that's my update. I'm here, and I stopped talking for a bit, but I think I'm gonna start talking again and see where it goes. And I hope that this helps somebody, at the very least. That, we can grow, we can move on from this. So, that's it. Thank you for listening.
Well, she has our support for sure.
All right.
No,
let's talk about standing up for truth. Yeah.
Like,
wow, intense, right? I saw that and I was like, whoa.
and I'm just like, that's what it took for you to realize that we're more resilient than you think. And I'm like, if you think about, like, the typical stereotypical, like, leftist meltdown or anybody meltdown behavior, like, that is exactly what the hero's journey, to bring it back to that, like, that's what the hero's journey does. It makes you resilient. And, like, we're in this weird era where people think that happiness is the ultimate goal. Happiness is the only goal. And what is being happy? It's being comfortable. It's not having discipline. It's giving in to any, just whim that you have. But through that, you don't build strength. You don't build resiliency. And you become vulnerable to the predatory pharmaceutical industry.
Yes.
Like, that was heavy.
That was heavy. It's really interesting. And that's a good point, because that actually ties in so many other aspects. Because then you look at the pharmaceutical industry, how they, always trying to push drugs, regardless of what it's for. And I think one of the things I want to say about this video is that I don't want to point fingers and put blame, because I don't know this girl. I don't know her. But I just feel like a lot of kids don't have, like, where are her parents? Where are the people that are supposed to support her? Where are the people that are supposed to be some kind of line of defense? Because it's one thing if she just was injecting herself with hormones and testosterone and stuff like that. She had surgeries to get her breast removed. Like, where is the line here? There was no adults around you that was like, hold up, let's stop and let's look into this. Forget the therapists, the doctors, this.
Where are her friends?
Where's anybody? Where's anybody?
Where's her aunts and uncles and grandparents? And
yeah.
Like, and again, I feel like it's the most vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable people that are falling victim to this.
Yes.
Because we're social creatures. We're herd people. Like, we're like, herd creatures. Like, humans need other people. And that community, like you were talking about. And I was going to bring this back to how, like, everybody feels alone in America. Everybody. Like, the average, like, people... they give, like, surveys of, like, how many, like, close friends do you have, and it's dropped by, like, 5 people in the last, like, 30 years because we don't connect with each other. And part of that, I think, is the, inflammatory political era where you're not allowed to be associated with anybody that doesn't agree with you 100% on your views. I think that's a big part of it. But everybody feels alone.
Well, it's interesting because we're more and more lonely, and we're more and more connected in the sense of you can go right on Instagram and see your high school friend that you haven't spoken to in 10 years, but you can know everything about their life. Well, not everything, but you can see photos and all this stuff about their life and be up to date on it. But it's all a facade because you're not actually close to all these people you see. And I was thinking about this the other day, actually. The human brain is amazing because we can sit here on our phones, and in the time that it takes me to walk from my bedroom to the bathroom, I can scroll past 15 videos or, see 20 different photos of people that I don't even talk to anymore. And I'm just absorbing all of this. And that would make me feel lonely for sure. It definitely, I think, even for myself, makes me feel a bit lonely because it's like you're seeing all these people do all these things and you're seeing all these faces, but you're not actually seeing these people. You're not actually connected to these people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old that girl is, but she looks younger, and I think she's growing up in a time where it's even worse for her. It's the Gen Zers are kind of coming up, on social media, coming out of the womb with a phone in their hand, and it's like this is their new reality. This is their new normal. Is like this lack of connection, which is scary.
Well, and it's even like video calls, like like Skype meetings and stuff like that. Like even those are draining, where the same conversation in person would have been invigorating.
Yes.
It's amazing. I don't know if it's like eye contact issues or, like even just like vibes and pheromones and body language that's like missed out on. I don't know. But that's another thing.
Definitely.
Like, and COVID, like, drove people crazy because of it.
Right.
Like, everybody's easily triggered now. And especially then, everybody was trigger happy. Like, everybody was on edge because they were lonely. They needed, connection.
I saw this video of this guy, actually. This old guy lived next door, and he came over, and it was this coffee mug, and he was like, "Are you busy right now?" to the guy just sitting on his porch, whatever, drinking his morning coffee.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "No, I'm not busy. What's going on?" And the old guy, he's like in his 80s. He was like, "Can I sit with you? Can I join you for a cup of coffee?" And I was like, that's how starved people are for just connection and genuine community. That this old man, who, and they're not close, just came over and was like, "Can I please sit with you? We don't need to talk, but can I sit and enjoy my coffee with you?"
Can I flip the script on you?
Please do.
Because how sad is it to us that is desperate for attention or desperate for connection when that used to be normal fucking behavior?
Right.
Like, huh? Like, that used to be classic. Everyone knew your neighbors. The freaking State Farm saying is, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Does anybody know their neighbors? I don't know, like, if you live in an apartment, house, does anybody know their neighbors anymore? Because, like, it's not just, that's what I'm saying, like, it's not just technology. Because this has been happening for a while. Like, I don't know, but, like, I would say since, like, the 70s, 80s. Like, where it became really inflammatory. Like, that's when it started, I feel like. And people just aren't allowed to be friends with people that don't agree with them.
And we're losing social skills because of it, I think, at least. Because I look at my mom, my dad, my aunts and uncles. They can sit there and have a conversation with the wall. Even my introverted aunt and my introverted mother, they're so personable in real life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of the younger people I bump in today don't know how to walk into a room and say good morning.
And
don't know how to talk to people. Nope. And we're losing something. We're losing something because of that. Yeah. And it's something I've noticed for a while, but it's interesting to me that in that video too, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so sad." And you're right. When did this become so sensationalized? Like going to your neighbor and being like, "Can I sit and have some coffee with you?"
And
it was blowing everyone's mind.
Side note, just so everybody knows, that's normal.
Yeah.
Like saying hello. The other thing is, like, I'll notice too, like, I can be very friendly, just like in general, standing in line, going to a coffee shop, at a grocery store, blah, blah, blah. And, like, you know, you have, like, little asides with people. I always know that someone of an older generation, that's older than me at least, will kind of, like, know how to banter back with me. People that are younger, if you try to do a little aside or a banter, you know, strangers in public, they look at you like you're trying to kidnap them. Like, they literally look so suspicious of you. Like, they are offended and creeped out that a stranger dare talk to them. It is wild how significant this is.
No, you should have heard me because today was a really rainy day over here. And, you know, have my morning Starbies. I walk in and it's thunder and lightning outside. And I'm like, beautiful day to have you here. You would have thought I was speaking a different language. People looking at me like,
they don't think it's funny at all.
I'm like, guys, it was a joke. Like you would have thought.
But
I walked in with 3 heads the way they looked at me, and I'm like, we're losing some kind of connection here.
Well, like literally, like, it's like sarcasm especially is like the first thing to go. Like, I'm sarcastic. That's another thing. You're right. Like, I'll try to be sarcastic with people because it's like light and funny, and they just look confused.
Yeah.
And then what's worse is, like, sometimes they'll correct me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like, in your example, like, you walk into a room, oh, beautiful day. They're like, no, it's thundering and raining.
Like, okay. I hadn't noticed.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
I'm walking in with
like, literally, it's
wet with an umbrella. I hadn't noticed.
So far over their head. It's nuts.
Yeah, like, it's okay to smile, people. It's okay to talk to the stranger don't get kidnapped, but, like, you know, it's okay to have human connection in real life.
Oh, did you see the video of the mom who her 2-year-old was getting kidnapped and she ran into the street to stop it?
Oh, shit, no.
Wild. We can talk about that another day.
Yeah.
Don't get kidnapped.
Yeah, don't get kidnapped, everyone. Don't go to any parking lots with anyone. Keep the communication in the coffee shop.
Seriously, though. But anyway, if you like what you heard, like and subscribe, share, comment, let us know what you want to hear about, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Hi. Last time I filmed a video in my car like this, I came on and talked